The Fed, we did not get a rate cut in July. Most people predicted that was going to happen. I know the Fed has been getting some pressure on this. I think we're getting closer to a rate cut now. September is up in the air still, I believe. We saw a little bit of an increase with inflation. So, that could give them some ammunition to say we're going to continue to pause. But you're hearing now week to week more and more economists, and not just the administration, but more and more economists say, hey, the Fed, you should be cutting. You should be cutting, pointing fingers at, international countries, governments across the globe. They've been cutting all year. And so I think we're going to see some rate cuts, and the expectation is still probably 2 rate cuts this year. That's decreased a little bit with the increased inflation number that we saw. That was 0.1% higher than expectation. So nothing significant, but I do think September is potentially on the table for the next rate cut. So I'm in the camp of that. I think we should have a rate cut. I think the pressure of recession coming is increased from where it was, a few months ago. And again, we've talked about this. The Fed is kind of late to the game. It's not, this is nothing new. Economists have been, saying this for, 10, 20, 30 years, and historically the Fed has shown that, this is why they go through these periods of significant rate cuts, because they're late to the game. And it's nothing by on purpose. They're looking at the data as it comes. They don't have a crystal ball to predict the future, so they're trying to do their best job. And it's a very hard job to do. You're trying to figure out, where the economy is, and you're using back data to kind of forecast that, which a lot of times doesn't work. But, if their target's 3%, sitting at this level is probably a little high. I think we should, start to see some rate cuts this year, but time will tell.